this bill is also a strategy to get rid of the filibuster. That's why it's SB1 and H.R.1. It's a strategy to get rid of the filibuster, which the Democrats desperately need, they desperately want, so that they can ram through a radical leftist agenda, whether it's Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, high taxes, abortion for all paid for by the taxpayer, or these horrible election-destroying, democracy-destroying bills. They know what they're doing. They know how important this is. It's the foundation of their strategy. In fact, it's so important to Democrats that they called President Obama, former President Obama, off the sidelines to endorse this bill. He says, and I quote, "We can't wait until the next election, because if we have the same kinds of shenanigans that brought about January 6th, if we have that for a couple more election cycles, we're going to have a real problem in terms of our democracy long term. Since I left office," he said, "I've tried to make a policy not to weigh in on the day-to-day scrum in Washington, but what's happening this week is more than just a partisan bill coming up or not coming up to a vote." He knows. He knows how utterly important this bill is to the Democrats' strategy, a federal takeover of elections. But people, the American people, are not fooled. Most people, according to a recent poll, don't know what's in this bill or what it does. Only 29% of voters know what's in Senate Bill 1. And the poll asked them, well, here's what's in the bill. Now what do you think of it? When voters find out what is in the bill, only 28% support its passing. The Democrats are calling in the big guns because they know the American people don't want it. Just like the American people don't want the rest of their policies, which is why, by the way, they have to pass, or they have to try to pass, a bill like this because they can't get public opinion on the side of their very radical leftist policies. Thank goodness for Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin. They oppose the filibuster and they oppose this bill. However, Democrats probably knew this was going to happen. They're not stupid. They have a backup plan called H.R.4. It's called the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. They're pretending that this is a compromise bill. Absolutely not. This bill, H.R.4, takes the power over elections away from the states, just like the For the People Act, and gives it to the federal government, just like For the People Act. They do this through a provision called pre-clearance. Pre-clearance. This gives the federal government the authority, essentially, to veto any or all or part of state election laws. The federal government, because of pre-clearance, could then declare null voter ID laws, cleaning up voter registration rolls, any laws that would limit or ban ballot harvesting, which obviously is a ridiculous and dangerous practice vulnerable to fraud. Instead of states having the right to regulate their own elections, it gives it to an agency of the federal government, the Department of Justice, would have the power to veto changes as small as polling place locations, in addition to voter ID, registration, and the Department of Justice, an unaccountable bureaucratic nightmare of the federal government, would have the power to draw the boundary lines to redistrict in every single state. And states would basically not be able to defend themselves if they were the subject of litigation under these bills. This is something uniquely evil about these bills, is that they reduce people's ability to petition the government for a redress of grievances, a constitutional right. Now, H.R.4, the Democrats claim the purpose of H.R.4 is to prevent racial discrimination. But it actually does the opposite. It makes race one of the primary factors in the process of our elections, whether we're talking about voter ID or just the interests of the Democratic Party. Something to remember when we're talking about voting, when we're talking about our democracy, when we're talking about election integrity. In 2021, more people are eligible and able to vote in our country than any other time in our nation's history. If you are a citizen over the age of 18 who has not been convicted of a felony, you are eligible to vote. It is easy to vote. It is not burdensome to vote. And you are encouraged to participate in our voting process. There is no systemic racism or sexism or ableism or land ownership requirements or monetary benchmarks or religious tests or anything else that would prevent you from voting. We must secure our elections against fraud. We must secure the integrity of each individual's vote. And to do that, we don't give the states power to run their own elections to the federal government. No, we need voter ID laws. We need to ban ballot harvesting. We need to clean up voter registration rules. We need to regulate mail-in voting so that it's not without restriction in order to protect your vote and my vote. And here's the thing. The majority of the American people agree. They agree with you, they agree with me. The majority of the American people do not agree with the Democrats. That's why the Democrats are trying to ram this through.
Hi. Before you go, let me talk to you about something. As you know, I've been censored on Facebook and YouTube, so I partnered with locals to create a censorship-free community. I also just launched my show, and I have a lot of exciting new things coming up that I want to make sure I can share with you and get your input on. I'm going to be sharing behind-the-scenes looks of my set and my show prep, and I get a lot of questions about my hair and makeup routines, my research process, and so much more. So I'll give you sneak peeks of all of that. I'll also be doing exclusive segments of my show just for Locals VIPs. All of my interviews will be shared on Locals for VIPs to watch as well. I'll be taking questions directly from VIPs for the video mailbag in my show, and you'll get the episodes free from ads. Who doesn't love that? Not to mention, I'll keep doing everything that you've already come to love. Ask me questions for live Q&As. Let's talk about your favorite books, what yummy vegan food I'm eating for lunch, and what ridiculous headlines I'm reading today. You can do all of that and more, but only if you are a Liz Wheeler Show VIP on Locals. The monthly subscription is $9 a month, but if you really want a good deal, we have an annual subscription for just $72. That's 4 months free. 4 months. So join me on Locals as a VIP. I'll see you over there.